The only thing we have to
Beer.
is
Beer.
itself.
Beer. So many choices.
We no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer! Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring in the news and reviews, of course, of your favorite brews. I am Dan Baker, and I am joined by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner.
and of course, the Demented and Fermented,
Wayne Baker.
We are somewhere that we were supposed to be last week, but the weather got involved. Surprisingly, growing up in Berks County and this general vicinity, this is the first time I've ever been here, and I'm very ashamed to say that.
That is insane.
I know. But I'm moving to
Should
Philly.
we make him leave?
Well,
Somebody's got to
Not
handle
without
all
a beer.
these. Yeah.
right.
Somebody's got to handle all these buttons and knobs over here.
That is true. But moving to Philly before I could legally drink, it's where I kind of grew up in my beer drinking years. But it's nice to finally get out to Stoudts in Adamstown. And we have a very fun show ahead of us. But we have returning to the show.
Carol Stout.
And, of course, newcomer to the show.
Elizabeth Stout.
Thank you so much, both of you, for having us out here and being on the show.
Thank you.
Of course. I already had a sip of the coffee porter that one of our friends was kind enough to let us try. It was incredible. Not that I
Really
expected
good.
anything different, but it was,
Really
oh my
good.
God, huh.
That is your kind of beer, for
Yes,
sure.
it is
definitely a
right
Dan
up my
beer.
alley.
And the coffee actually comes from our market, Hobo Ed.
Oh,
Nice.
Yeah, it's roasted on premise.
very
So,
nice.
Yeah.
That's even better. Oh, man. Well, delicious beer, and I know there's plenty more that we're going to get to. But first, for those out there in the podcast land, remember, you can find Beer Busters online. Twitter and Instagram, we are at Beer Busters. Facebook, you can go to Beer Busters Podcast. You can also do beerbusterspodcast.com. There's that phone number that is ever ignored, 805-991-BEER, 805-991-2337, and patreon.com/beerbusters.
Don't forget Patreon.
I feel like Patreon's the most important
It
one
is.
that's
It
out
is.
there.
Yes.
And I'm going to say it now before I forget to say it at the end of the show. If you are able, if you're not at the point where you want to be a patron, on your podcast app of choice, we just ask you give us a rating and review, and the same thing for any podcast that you listen to, because that is how all of our shows will grow and get us in front of new listeners. So if you like the show, ours or someone else's, just click on a star rating and review them. And
Preferably
that'll-
5.
Yes,
I mean,
but be honest
you know.
with yourself and us and the world. But hopefully the algorithms that are in place for all these apps will find us in front of new ears. Well, without further ado... All right. Now, in the news, I know this will be old news by the time the episode releases in a few weeks, but I wanted to get to a couple things that I feel were worth talking about. Throughout the ages, we've talked about acquisitions of sorts and how the bigger companies are buying up all the smaller breweries and everything. There's a new one, though, that's not quite in the world of big companies. However, Sierra Nevada has made their first ever acquisition of Sufferfest Beer Company. They are a young brewery launched back in 2016 in San Francisco. The founder and CEO, Caitlin Landisberg, has been searching for a beer that was the perfect thirst quencher for someone with an active lifestyle, and eventually that search led to create her own recipes with Brewmaster, and ultimately her company, Sufferfest Beer Company, was born. Sierra Nevada's president and CEO said as of this acquisition, while it's still in its infancy, Sufferfest is at the front of a wave of functional alcoholic beverages. I love that phrasing. By joining with Sierra Nevada, Sufferfest will be better positioned to grow and continue to lead the way in a rapidly growing and highly competitive space. The intention of the acquisition is to better position Sufferfest to grow in a highly competitive space of healthy beer options, including gluten-reduced and gluten-free, which ties into the interview we did a couple episodes ago with Karen Hertz from Holidaily.
Yes.
So it's good to see somebody as big as Sierra Nevada putting a little bit of money and love into the gluten-free and gluten-reduced
It's interesting.
lifestyle.
We talked about this before, and I think it's interesting to see. We went through the spate of acquisitions from AB InBev, from Goose Island to 10 Barrel, and et cetera, et cetera. But then you start to see a lot of these either consortiums of breweries kind of popping up, or it's a bunch of breweries kind of getting together under an umbrella corporation, or larger but still craft independent breweries along the lines of like Sierra Nevada buying up other breweries as well. So it's interesting to see that economic landscape kind of shift, where now there's like consolidation even on the craft side. Mm-hmm. And is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is that going to be something to fight against the big macro companies, or are these just going to turn into the next AB InBev?
It's a good question. I'm actually curious, Carol, your thoughts on this. I mean, this your brewery's been around for
31 years.
Yeah, going on 32 years.
As long as
And
you have.
I remember that because the brewery and I came into existence in the same month.
I see.
So where do you stand on watching all these acquisitions and now having craft breweries buying other craft breweries?
I like independent.
Yeah.
I like that.
I've always believed that small, independent breweries will survive. I think the problem becomes when one wants to get large, sell their beer in 50 states and all over the world. You need more marketing dollars, and the way the climate is now, not many people can survive that way. AB and InBev won't allow it.
Yep, that's very true.
Well, and even larger breweries in the craft beer realm, like Bell's, for example, who just pulled out of, was it Virginia?
Yeah.
Of all the breweries, I wouldn't think Bell's would be the one pulling back on their distribution. But I think ever since Green Flash, everything that happened with them, some of these more, I guess, mid-sized craft breweries are also seeing this ripple effect that I don't think the consumer necessarily wants to keep drinking those same beers over and over again. And the smaller independent craft breweries are, sort of giving these mid-sized breweries a run for their money. I mean, I think the last time we spoke with you on air, you are only distributing in Pennsylvania right now, correct?
We actually pulled out of, we were originally in 13 states, and there was a need to be because they didn't have, the good Pilsners and the Helles beers in North Carolina or Maryland because they didn't have any. So there was a need for me to be there. But as, the breweries proliferated in those states, I need to concentrate on the home market.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Right.
Drink local. You buy your local foods, your milk, your vegetables. Same thing with beer.
You make the beer with the coffee that's roasted,
I know. Right back.
dozens of feet away.
I can hear Dan drooling from here.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
And also with like the larger breweries and purchasing somewhere, it makes it harder for the distributors too to like compete in the distributing world, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true, yeah. Other news of acquisitions, not a corporation buying a brewery.
Speaking of.
Yeah, the aforementioned AB InBev has acquired 100% of RateBeer.com.
No.
So they are now a gatekeeper into reviews of beers.
Well, deleting that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting? And when I saw this is the first thing I thought of. So when I research the games we do on the show, I'm Googling beers left and right all over the place. And a lot of times breweries won't have, either it'll be like a one-off beer, so they don't have like a page on their website. So a lot of times I'm relying on Untapped and Beer Advocate. And what's funny is I've actually seen the Rate Beer pop up in the results less and less as I'm Googling these like smaller, more like single or like, seasonal or limited batch beer, because I'm trying to find weird, crazy beers, and a lot of them aren't made year-round. So I don't know if that's related, because I know AB InBev got a stake in Rate Beer a while ago.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting because Rate Beer used to come up a lot more as I was like Googling beers, and it was one of the resources I would go to. But now Beer Advocate seems to be the one, along with Untapped, that always comes up.
I'll be honest, I forgot Rate Beer existed for the longest
I
time,
haven't been
but
on it in a long
partially
time.
because of
Yeah.
that. But yeah, it was 2016 that their ZX Ventures took a minority stake in Rate Beer, only for it to be revealed by the founder in 2017. So we found out about that after it happened. So, of course, some craft brewers wound up asking Rate Beer to delete their ratings data out of fear that it would be manipulated by Anheuser-Busch. But according to the site's founder, this new capital is not going to affect day-to-day operations of the website. I like
We've
that.
heard that phrase before.
Right, I like that they're saying
Yeah.
that, but let's just see how long that's the truth.
Yeah.
Well, I want to know why.
That's it.
Why would they want to own this website?
Especially if they've
Control.
stopped. Yeah.
It's control.
Yeah, you're a gatekeeper of ratings and what people are going to find. now.
It seemed random, like when the news first came out. It didn't seem entirely unbelievable. I mean, AB InBev's been buying up all things craft for a while now, but for them to jump into the sort of beer review space or the beer, social platform or whatever you want to call it, I mean, it's got to be part of a plan. Like, they have to have a plan. Like, there has to be a reason that they're getting a stake in this website. Like,
You don't
otherwise,
have
what
a
do they
company
care?
That large.
So they can rate their beers very
But
high.
nobody's going on Rate Beer to see how well Bud Light's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, they're
Like,
not? I thought they were.
What's the revenue model behind this? I mean, they could sell ads on the site, but
Yeah.
you're not going to get like craft beer ads.
Also,
on there.
Unless it's
The
solely
beer
for
without
their
corn
craft.
syrup.
Oh, that's
Oh,
right.
jeez.
Oh,
Oh,
jeez.
jeez. But rice slurry. I wonder if they made a play for like Untapped and Beer Advocate and just didn't get any traction, and Rate Beer was the one that was like, yeah, we'll take your money.
Yeah,
I
there's
wonder
got
if that's like
there's.
something that happened.
I'm curious to see where this goes, but I kind of feel like you're not fooling anyone, guys.
That's the other
I don't
thing.
know.
Like,
I think that
everybody
most
knows.
people
Yeah.
that would use that website for what it's intended to be used for are the people that are purposely not choosing beers that are owned by AB InBev. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm interested to follow this. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. It'll be interesting to see what happens. In news of expansions, Tired Hands is opening its first Philly brick and mortar in Fishtown.
Good for them.
It's going to be called St. Owners. It's opening on Frankfurt Avenue, not very far from the beer garden that they already had. And it's good to see them entering the city that they've more or less claimed as home, even though they've always been in Ardmore. It's going to open at 2218 Frankfurt Avenue across the street from the beer garden that opened in October of 2018. According to a post on the brewery's Instagram account. The restaurant, which was previously home to Helm Crew's short-lived Tierce and the Pickled Horn before that, will hold 50 or so seats with a 6-seat bar. Pickled Heron. Thank you, Wayne. And they're going to pour beers from the Fermenteria, the firm. I'm still not sure how it's pronounced.
Fermenteria. I say Fermenteria because it rhymes with Santeria.
That's right. And the Brew Cafe and the dispensary, but there's no specifics on the food menu as of yet. So keep an eye in Fishtown for the first official Tired Hands
Can I just
spot.
point out one of my favorite things about that episode is when you asked him how to pronounce it, and he said to you, "It's not a real. I made up the word."
Yeah.
Or
It
doesn't
something
matter
like
how
that.
you say it. Yeah.
He didn't even actually answer your question. I thought that was funny, but good
That's
for them.
true.
It'll be
Yeah.
that area of Philly is it's my
It's
favorite
hopping.
part to
And-
drink and.
It's a perfect area for Tired Hands.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
if
is
they were
true.
going to come to Philly, that's
That is
neighborhood.
very true.
I also
Yeah.
read an article that the kombucha is going to be there. Their
Yes.
wine is going to be there, and it'll be exciting. New things. New things are fun.
Yes.
New things are fun. That's all I really saw in the world of beer. But that brings us back to where we are. We're at Stoudts. We're in Adamstown. So happy to be here. Now, we've already mentioned the brewery's been around for almost 32 years, as have I. Hey, that's a good coincidence.
Stop saying
I
that.
know.
Just
to
reminding
remind
us
everyone you're
how
the
young you are.
youngest.
Trust me, I don't feel it. So I think we should probably rewind prior to 32 years ago. Why a brewery? Why did you want to open up a brewery, Carol?
Because my husband likes beer and I'm a good wife, so I made it for him.
Somehow
Isn't that
I
what
don't-
I should supposed
true.
to say?
I somehow I don't think that's the real answer. Although I do believe that your husband likes beer.
He loves beer.
I mean, he's sitting behind you drinking a beer. So
She's a good wife, too.
I don't doubt
I
that.
believe that as well.
But yeah, why?
So in 1989, my husband and I had been married for a few years, and we built a huge beer garden that it's open air. It seats 1,100 people. And I was bartending, and we had a lot of beers from, tried to get as many beers as we could from all over the world. And I noticed a lot of people tasting a lot of different types of beer. And we go to Germany quite frequently. And in Germany, you have a brewery, you have their beer garden, and a guest house. So what was missing for us was our own beer. We didn't know anything about craft beer, microbreweries. It made sense. Being from a German background with the love of beer, why not make it? And again, at that time, it was hard to get a lot of really good European beers. Freshness was an issue with a lot of them. So, yeah, why? And my husband actually wanted to do the beer himself, but our laws in Pennsylvania then were that if you owned a restaurant, he started this restaurant in 1962, right, Elizabeth?
Yeah.
1962. I was in the sandbox, so I wasn't around.
Fair.
Anyway, so then he couldn't do it, so we went to an attorney that liked beer and said, well, Carol, if you want to do it, what you'll have to do is separate yourself from the restaurant. And I have 5 kids at home, so I was just helping on the weekends or special occasions. So never home brewed, so that's how I got started. So in 1984, so we're going to build a brewery. How are we going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
So we went to one of the first conference tours in Portland, Oregon, And a week prior to that, my husband and I were on a bus with about 60 people. There were only 2 ladies, myself and one other one. And on that trip were a lot of people that were ready, wanting to get into this beer business, plus a couple consultants, people selling stainless steel, people selling hops. So we visited the then few little breweries that were existing in the Pacific Northwest, went to visit a maltster and a hop thing, and from the time I woke up in the morning until I laid the head on my pillow at night was nothing. All we talked about was beer and stainless steel and pipes and fittings. So at the end of that week, there were, how many people do you think were at that first conference? What do you think?
Oh,
the
man.
conference now is what, 8,000 people?
Yeah.
What do you
30.
think? 42. You
42.
You were close.
Wow.
Can you
I should have
imagine
said
that?
42. That's the answer to everything.
know.
It should be, yeah.
So it was amazing, and so really it was. I was going to get into it. I was never going to look at a beer in my life. So then coming back to Pennsylvania and just thinking how we're going to do that. I was a poor school teacher, and my husband couldn't give any of his money to the brewery that was against the law. So I had asked the godmothers of my children if they wanted to participate, give me some money. And 2 of them gave a little money, and I later bought them out and went to the bank. The first bank, what do? You're going to make beer? What does it smell like? What are you going to do with the waste? So I went to a second bank, and I was able to get a small business loan. Still wasn't enough money, so my husband and I owned our home, so we had a realtor appraise it, so then my husband paid me for half the value of the home, and that's how I got started.
Wow.
Probably for maybe about $125,000.
Yeah.
And would you believe draft only? I didn't want anything to do with bottling.
How do you
I
feel
still
now?
don't.
Still don't.
I still don't.
What about cans? How do you feel about cans?
I love cans.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But guess what? Would you loan me money? I need a canning
A
line.
canning line? I hear they're getting smaller and cheaper every day.
Yes, true.
Okay. All right.
Just wait till someone goes out of business and
That's
buy
true.
theirs.
I'm sure there'll be one up for sale.
I know. No, I love cans. They're
Yeah.
great for the environment and the home. But they still have mechanical problems, I heard, but maybe not as many. And it's cheaper to do cans. But then when I started I wouldn't have wanted a canning line then because the quality of the can wasn't as good as it is now. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
And that was cans kind of went through and I mean, I wasn't old enough to drink back then. But beer was in cans sort of ubiquitous for a long time, and then everybody went to bottles, and then it was the brown bottles, and then as microbreweries became, everybody was in the bottles, and then in the past 5-10 years at most, craft breweries have been going back to cans, just because it's better for the beer. I mean, with newer, better designed cans, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
When I was in college, I first was able to legally drink. That evolution, we kind of scoffed at cans for the longest time. It was bottles are nothing.
Yeah.
I don't drink cans of beer in this house. It's bottles of lager only.
The summary for the second or third episode of this podcast includes cans are not for cheap beer anymore.
Why do you remember that?
I remember
He
that.
remembers everything.
I remember random things.
frightening.
That was 6 years ago.
That was 6 years ago.
I barely remember 6 days ago.
So you also you took some beer classes, courses. You did an
I took
apprenticeship
some
as well.
At Siebold, I took the short course because, again, I couldn't do the long course because I had children at home. So on that trip out west, I did meet Carl Strauss, who became my brewmaster consultant, and he was phenomenal. There was 2 other guys trying to get my business, but I just felt I could relate to him because I knew nothing. So Carl was the one who started me on my equipment design, and the Abita Brewery in Covington, Louisiana, their brewery was open, and they had a JV Northwest 15-barrel system like I was going to get. So I went down there for a week and brewed beer. It's the first time I ever touched valves and watched the malt go in, the grist, and weigh the hops and all that stuff. And the guys were telling me what to do as they were drinking beer and laughing. I thought, wow, this is kind of cool. But they were very Jim Patton, unfortunately, he's now deceased, but he was brilliant. You know, he was talking way over my head then as far as BUs and ABVs. I didn't know any of that stuff. But we did make a Helles beer because they were making that style, and we made an amber, and we made a dark lager. So it was lots of fun. And they were doing draft only at that time. So if you wanted it a beta, you had to get it in draft form. And we grilled catfish, for lunch. And it was in an old garage, so that they had to close it. Basically, the garage door just came down. So that was a lot of fun. And then that was, when was that? Maybe 86? So I wanted to... So my brewery equipment was slated to come in February of 87. Well, that year we had a lot of snow, and I remember getting some friends together, and we would actually come up and dig in the trenches so that the construction people could still going. I wanted to get the first batch of beer in by May so that it'd be ready for when my husband opened the beer garden, because that was my test market. And he was going to buy all the beer.
So you had a buyer lined up, that pretty much had to buy it.
That was pretty good thinking.
How could this plan fail?
Yeah, right? He couldn't legally invest, but he could buy all the beer.
I know. And the restaurant, the bar and the restaurant went from 2 taps to, I think, initially 5 and then 7, and now we have, 12. And we probably even have to add another 10 to make for all the beers that we're making.
Wow.
So. But it was tough in those days. I just wonder what that beer tasted like.
Well, and how hard was it? First of all, you are the first microbrewery in Pennsylvania since Prohibition. So just the idea of a microbrewery is new and foreign to a lot of people. And you're a woman selling beer, and that idea is quite foreign in the beer world as well. So how hard was it for people to want to drink your beer, accept your beer, buy your beer? What was that struggle like?
Well, first of all, no one understood. I was talking about fresh, how important it is to drink a fresh beer. I was talking about the hops in this beer and the style. People didn't know anything about that. All they knew about was the name of the beer and what the cost was, and if there's a deal. So that was kind of troubling. And then it took me 10 years to get my first draft account in Lancaster. The local market, my goal was to sell all the beer in Berks and Lancaster County. Well, I would have waited 10 years and we would have had to drink all that beer because the local people, I was too expensive. Yuengling was very popular. So, and because I was local, they thought the price of this beer should be the same as Yuengling.
Right.
Because, it's local, why does it have to be twice as much? So people didn't understand all malt, the price of the type of hops, et cetera, et cetera. So it was kind of tough. So what was my saving grace was the Helles won a silver medal of the GABF that following year, and I got press and the Philadelphia Inquirer. So that was major. So I got calls from Judy Wicks at the White Dog Cafe, and she said, "Carol, I'd like to have your beer." I said, "I don't sell beer in Philadelphia. I don't even know where that is." No, I really do, but anyway, very persistent lady, and I drove down to meet her, and of course the rest was history. So how do I get my beer down there? So I drove the initial kegs in my station wagon, and then she helped me get a distributor, which was another whole world to me, dealing with distributors. And she also helped me in introducing me to independent restaurant owners. So Brown Street Cafe was one of my first accounts. London, still on today. McGillen's Old Ale House, very supportive. And so Philadelphia became my main source until the local market, got smart.
Right.
And now it is.
That's true.
I just wish our listeners could see the look on her face when she says that. Love it. Well, you are everyone looks at you sort of as an idol in the beer industry, but I think we do have to take a moment to go back and respect the risk that you took, to be a mother of 5 and just jump into something that you were passionate about, yet at the same time knew nothing about.
Maybe she needed out of the house. I don't know.
My youngest daughter still doesn't forgive that I started the brewery when she was 5.
Inside perspective now.
So, Elizabeth, what is your role here at Stoudts?
I don't know. I just
Perfect
support. Yeah.
Well, you
Come
do a
in, they
lot
tell
of
you to do
event-
something.
You do a lot of
How
the
about
event
two
planning
other forms of fermentation?
So we do make cheese here, and we make bread, and I kind of run that, and I'm the event coordinator, so we hold a lot of events here at Stoudts.
Cool. That's an understatement.
Yeah.
A lot of events, and they're good times.
Yeah. Well, this is the space here is perfect for having big events. Everything from beer fests to dinners to I pretty much do anything here. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Steampunk Festival.
Steampunk
I saw a
Festival,
sign for
yes,
that, yeah.
yes, which unfortunately will have already passed by the time this episode
Yeah,
airs.
so we'll continue to post it. So hopefully, if you guys are listening to this and
Hopefully
you
you
didn't hear
went
about it,
and you had fun.
then you should follow us on social media and follow Stoudts on social media, because then you would have known. But yeah, tell us about Steampunk, because it sounds like a pretty awesome, different event.
Yeah. We wanted to do something that would celebrate all the different kinds of fermentation that happen around us, and we wanted something that was an all-age show. So we thought a steampunk theme would be great because there's costumes. That's a blast. And we invited a lot of different people from the community, and they're coming with kefir water, which I've never actually heard of or tasted, so I can't wait to try it, and all the way up to, of course, some big beers. So it should be a great time.
And tell about the band.
Yeah. Oh, the band's great because, again, going really local, they're Carol's grandchildren, my boys, and a lot of their friends. So.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
it's
What's
cool.
the band's
Yeah, it's
name?
pretty cool.
You
The
playing?
Baron von Wasteland.
Nice.
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
like their picture.
Oh
That
my
is pretty
gosh.
cool. Yeah.
Isn't it awesome?
Okay, yeah.
That is awesome.
That's pretty cool.
But there are going to be prizes for the costumes. Guests come with costumes,
Right,
hopefully.
right.
One brewery is decorating their booth.
Nice.
So it's going to be cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a neat idea.
There's going to be a raw juice place. That sounds fun.
Oh,
So, like,
interesting.
you can drink all these. A mole fat dog is going to be here? What?
Looks like you're going to see Steph on the 16th.
What? But if you can drink the fresh juice and then drink beer, and, like, you don't feel bad about it then.
Yeah, they cancel each other out, right?
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Tickets are only $25 if you wear a costume.
That's really cool. What? So you make the cheese here, and the bread. What kind of cheeses? What kind of breads do
So
you do?
we do mostly Alpine style cheeses, and we have 2 aging rooms. So we do blue cheese, and we do like a tome. So we have one that's
I don't know what that is.
a tome. Tome is just a cheese, I guess.
I've never
but it has
had
a
it.
natural rind on it.
Oh, that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah. We have cheeses. We do some fresh cheeses. So it's all cow's milk at this point, but we'd like to do a mix in the future. And we have some cheeses that we serve 24 hours later, and some cheeses that are 4 years old. So
Oh wow,
Wow.
something
that's
like
cool.
that. Yeah.
That's cool.
And they also make the best bread ever here.
So I've been told.
The best bread ever.
We've been making the bread for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're quite good at it.
23 years, I think.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're all a wild ferment, so it's all a yeast culture. And, about 10 years ago, we moved from down here. I used to be right next to the brewery, and I moved the bakery up to the other end where the coffee roaster is now. And it took a couple of years to get that wonderful yeast flavor. It changed even just from one end
Just
of the
from
building
that
to the
distance.
other.
Wow.
Because really, the partnership of just having all that great yeast going into the air was like feeding the
Wow.
wild culture.
Yeast really is fickle all across the board.
Yeah, but it does amazing things.
That's
if
true.
You, if you treat it right.
Beer,
treat it
cheese,
right.
bread.
So if
yeah.
you're wild fermenting bread, I don't know anything about making bread, but I know in beer you get a lot of like the crazy funky sour. Is that like a sourdough kind of thing? Does it give it like a tartness?
Yeah, a little bit of a tartness.
Oh, that's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
How about that?
It's making me
Tell
hungry.
the yeast is how old?
Oh, goodness. About 130 years
Wow.
old now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've got a friend that's a chef, and he has a sourdough starter that he claims is thousands of years old.
Wow.
Wow.
I don't know that I believe him.
Well, what's the
Justin,
famous,
if you're listening, I love you, but it's, I don't know.
What's
Maybe I
the
just don't know
famous
enough about bread.
place in San Francisco? They have a yeast that's crazy old.
No idea.
Yeah, I should have fact-checked this before I brought this up. But anyway. So I also really want to talk about Flagship February because this is awesome. But I think we should have some flagship beers in front of us.
I think
so.
so.
call,
By the
good call.
magic of the internet, I'm going to snap my fingers and we're going to have some beer in front of us.
All right, Thanos.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
So Steph already snapped, so that means we have the beers.
Look at that.
I know.
Good job, Steph.
Oh, we need a name. It's not Thanos. It's like
Stephos.
Stephos. When
say
Thanos snaps, half the world dies. When I snap,
Beer
Beer
appears.
appears.
I like your snap better.
We'll workshop that name.
Yeah.
All right.
But we do have 2 beers in front of us. They look and smell fantastic, and I can't wait to drink them. What do we have? What are we starting with?
First one you're going to taste is the first beer ever brewed in Stoudts Brewery is our Golden Helles Lager. So if you've ever traveled to Germany, the beers around Munich, the Helles beers, this beer, it's not like those, but it would be in the same family. So we use German malts, 3 different type of malts, and we use the Hallertauer and Tettnang hop. And medium-bodied and about 5% ABV, so it just goes down like water. Why
So
this
good.
beer?
It's so much better than water, Carol.
This is true.
Why this beer? Well, first of all, it's my husband's favorite style, and since he was my first customer, I had to make the first beer he liked. But secondly, this area, a lot of Germans coming from Plattdeutsch, that area of Germany, they love their Dab and their Paulaner, their Augustiner Brau. So it's in that family, except this is fresh. Beer should be fresh.
Yes.
That is true.
And I was excited when you told us during the time of my snapping.
A lot
that
happened in that
This is
snap.
now your number 1 selling beer.
Number 1 selling.
That
beer.
makes
That's the way
me
it should
so
be.
happy.
I know.
It's delicious.
And just 2 years ago, it was way down there, number 5 or 6. And, we're just, what are we going to do with this? Shall we just pause it for a little bit? But no, you can't pause it because what will my husband drink?
If for no other reason, just so he can drink it.
I know.
That is,
I love
it's
it.
so cool to hear that, especially because you have an IPA, you have,
yeah.
and I think we're going to get to this later, a hazy IPL.
Oh, yeah.
Which
Oh.
I'm really interested in. But to hear that the Helles has become your number 1,
I know.
like, I mean,
So excited.
Restores a little bit bit of faith in the beer
I
drinking
mean, we
community.
are very much old school, I think, beer people, and we like beers that taste like beer, and this is delicious.
We've ridden that roller coaster.
Yeah.
And
Now give
thank-
us a lager.
Thank goodness to see Steve Beaumont, who's a Canadian beer writer, and he had this brainstorm, because he didn't see a lot of Sierra Nevada around and didn't see a lot of other breweries that were older and their flagship beers. And it was his decision, and then he talked to Jay Brooks, another beer writer out in California, and this whole thing just mushroomed. So tomorrow I'm actually going to be at the Memphis Tap Room in Philly.
Cheers to that.
And Ken Coral is devoting all of February to the flagship beers from breweries, and tomorrow I'll be there with Tom Kehoe from Yards.
And if you
So it'll
don't know
be-
Ken, he is one of the most genuine and amazing people in the Philadelphia craft beer scene. He's just awesome. Just to put a plug for him at Memphis Tap Room, which is literally my favorite restaurant ever, but everyone I think already
And
knows
when he
that.
called me to see if I would want to do this, of course, why not? And I said, I can't, I'm so happy. He said, Carol, I just can't believe I forgot about how good these beers are.
Yeah.
And, these millennials will get to learn what a good, well-balanced lager is.
Yeah, you tell him.
Right. Preach
I
on.
will.
I love
Preach
it.
on.
I love this idea of Flagship February,
Yeah.
and I hope this becomes a thing
I think
in the
it will
craft
be.
beer world to
Yes.
remind us all that,
Yeah.
you can keep chasing what's new, and, part of being in any business sector is, you got to keep pushing yourself and trying new things, but, we have to keep going
Keep
back to
the
the things that
old
got it
also.
started.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What is it? Make new friends, but keep the old. One
Summer-
is silver, and the other
other
is gold.
Oh, look at that.
Wow.
Drinking the gold.
Wow.
I'm a genius.
Couldn't have planned that out any better.
I am a genius.
I think
We're
it's
going to steal that,
yeah, you totally should.
I think I learned it from the Girl Scouts.
No, there you go. There you go. I think it's interesting though that flagships have kind of fallen to the wayside so much that now we need a month to say we're going to celebrate flagship beers this month.
Yes.
But I think it's a good step, and I think people do need to be reminded that it's okay to go back and drink the same beer again. You know, you don't need the unique check-in every single time.
Yeah. Well, and there are a lot of breweries that are completely doing away with the idea of flagship beers, that they don't even want to touch it. There are breweries that have, since they've opened, they've never brewed the same beer twice.
I have a problem. Personally, I guess I'm old, but I have a problem with that.
Well, and because it makes you wonder, is it because they want to keep making new beers?
Do it.
Or because they can't be consistent, and they try to make the same beer and it's completely different, so they call it something else. Yeah. It is a little suspicious.
So I think this is a good first step in keeping flagships relevant, and maybe we need to start the hashtag make flagships cool again.
Okay.
I like that.
That's a long
It doesn't
hashtag.
roll off the tongue, though.
Make flagships cool again?
Yeah.
Make flagships cool again? Make flagships cool again?
You're-
I figured
you're
if I
trying.
just
You're
keep
trying.
saying it over and over again, eventually.
But I have to. Every time you say it, I can see you thinking about saying it.
Well, ask me at the end of the night after I've had an entire round of Stoudts beers,
All
and
right.
we'll see.
As you write it down.
I'm going to write it down
Good.
so I don't
Good.
forget.
Good.
So let's talk about the second beer, because
Yes,
I know you're
let's.
thirsty and we want to get to a lot more.
Yes.
So this is our Pilsner. It's a North German style Pilsner. So we use only pale malt in this one, and then obviously we hop it with the Saaz hop. So the gold is showcasing the malt, and the Pilsner is showcasing the hops.
The original hoppy beer.
The original hoppy beer. And people think, well, that's not hoppy. Well, it's a delicate hopping, for goodness sakes. And I like the dry finish. And this is another beer that it was more popular than the gold for a long time, but it took me 2.5 years to perfect this beer, because any imperfection will show in it. That's what we're saying. The brewery that only does one beer once and then goes to the other, 2 years to perfect this beer.
Yeah. Well,
Before
and
it
those
could
are
go
also
into
the
package.
breweries that are putting fruit, putting things in barrels, which is fun and
Yeah,
great, and I
there's
enjoy
a place
those
for
beers.
it.
But there's a lot you can hide behind that as well.
Absolutely.
Whereas beers like this, like, you have to know what you're doing. Or, you know, it's going to come out.
I actually, this is really funny, but when we first opened up the brewery and new breweries would open up, we went out to Goose Island, went to Great Lakes, went down to Weeping Ratty, so up to Harpoon. We would visit breweries that were opening up because this was a new thing, and we wanted to see what they were doing and also support them. And now it's hard to get to the new breweries. There's so many in Pennsylvania. Over 300 or something?
I stopped trying.
Yeah. When we started this podcast, there was a point at which we thought, what if we visit every brewery around us? Like, what happens if we run out of places to go?
Yeah.
That's never going to
Yeah.
Well,
Here we are,
maybe
6
they're
years
all
later.
opening just so our podcast can stay fresh.
There you go.
Thanks,
There you
craft
go.
beer.
Thank you.
Well, don't
brewery
forget
owners.
about the old breweries.
Yeah, right?
That's true. It did take us 6 years to get here.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So this beer has won quite a number of medals as well. Is this your most medal-winning beer, the Pils?
The most
I think so. The higher levels, the gold
levels.
wins in the World Beer Cup and the GABF, and it's been written about the most.
And I feel like this
Yeah.
style of beer, that's quite a compliment.
Yes.
Because it is one of the most difficult beers to
Yes, it
brew
is.
well, to consistently brew well.
Yes.
And so I think that really shows the quality of a brewery when you're winning medals with those types of beers.
And the Pilsner won the World Cup, right?
That's right. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Nice. Very nice.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I can see why.
It's interesting that Pilsners, I think, have become a little more popular lately, with like lagers coming back in style a little bit. But a lot of breweries are doing like American style Pilsners,
Correct.
which are being dry hopped. They're a little more on the hoppy
Right.
side, which I enjoy a lot of those. And I think that also helps to bring people into the style, because if you have somebody who's a hophead who only wants to drink the IPAs, who wants like the really bitter beer, and you say, well, here, try this. This is a dry hop Pilsner. They're going to get that hop character, but it's gonna introduce them to a style that maybe they wouldn't have picked out otherwise.
Because some people won't look at a beer if it's this color.
Yeah.
They want it to be amber to dark,
Right,
black.
right, yeah.
Or have pink or peach or
Or glitter.
Glitter.
glitter. No. Now, come on, how far are we going to go?
Don't ask a question if you're not prepared to get an
That's
answer.
Fortunately, I do kind of feel like the glitter thing has died down. Like,
Yeah.
that was a flash in the pan.
That's
Yeah.
true.
So,
Nothing wrong with that.
packaging, one reason I didn't want to get into the packaging is because it's expensive, every type of packaging. So, our first design was for the gold was from a Pennsylvania Dutch coverlet. And I used non-traditional colors, and of course males did not like that, like mauves and pinks and blacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went to red, white, and blue because beer at that time was every brewery seemed to have either red, blue, or the combination. So then I had my daughter started designing some of her labels, and we had the Pilsner label and gold for a while, and we just bringing out new packaging design next month.
Ooh, sneak preview.
This will be
Whoa.
the gold lager.
I like that.
Isn't he cool?
Yeah, I got a cool lion on there with like a
Lion?
phoenix mane.
Yeah.
That is so awesome.
And
That's how I feel when I'm drinking that beer.
this is the
that's
toast.
that's really cool.
That is cool.
And the inspiration from this is we were trying to think of, Germany, German pills. You think of music and, all the musicians that came from Germany. And so this is a fun take on it, kind of a modern Art Nouveau.
Yeah.
I love the colors,
Like
too.
it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
it's
like
very...
lime green and like almost like a darker sea foam green, and
And
it's really
there's
catchy.
I feel like it makes me think of a lot of there's a lot of modern design going on in beers, especially on cans, that kind of has that cool abstract, curvy kind of look to it. It has a nice, cool, modern feel to it. But I think the colors make it feel like a little more classic and timeless too.
Yeah.
That's
I would
really
honestly
cool.
buy that as a poster too.
That would be a cool poster, wouldn't it?
Yeah, or
Yeah.
even a shirt.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I look forward to the merch.
But it would
re-
also have to say German style pills.
Well,
not
of
just-
course
yeah,
it would.
would have to, yeah.
It's all about branding.
I think branding
Those are awesome.
is something that a lot of smart breweries that have been in the game for a while pay attention to. Like, look at Trogs.
Oh,
And
beautiful,
the major rebranding they've done, and they've certainly continued to keep themselves relevant. And I think this is a really cool idea. It's so beautiful. You're lucky to have so many talented children.
Yeah, my daughter Carrie lives in Vermont. She does all our graphic art
That's cool.
from there. So
Did you,
it's nice.
while they were inside of you, did you I'm going to need you to be an artist in the future. I'm going to need you to molding them from the start.
May I tell
I have
you
a plan
some-
for you.
May I tell you something? I was never a drinker at all. I was not born in a beer drinking or any time. My father made wine, homemade wine, and at Christmas time we would have a glass of wine. Or for me, it had to have a little 7-Up with a little wine. So then I met my husband, and the rest is history. I do like the beer. But guess what? By then, the beers didn't have flavor.
Right.
And I like beers that have flavor.
So I have a question as we kind of mentioned that you stick with the old traditions while you also may have to evolve with some of the newer ones. Like we have that hazy IPL we're going to get to later.
Sure.
Another trend that's in the beer industry is collabs between other breweries. Have
Right.
you ever done any of those?
Yes.
Aha.
We, with the Black Forest Brewery in Ephrata,
Ah.
and we're going to release this beer. It's a sweet stout, right, Elizabeth?
Yeah, it's on March 2nd.
Oh, cool.
We're doing an Irish festival in Elizabeth's in charge of it in the beer hall.
That's awesome.
2 Irish
As
bands.
a collaborative event, though. So the Black Forest is doing all the planning, too. So
And the
Very
beer
cool.
is called Kilty as Charged, I believe. I love the pun.
Pretty good. Pretty good. I like that.
And then the sales manager from the Black Forest and my sales manager will go around in Berks County and they'll sell their collab beer together.
Cool.
That's so cool.
Very nice.
And we hope to build on this.
Yeah.
And I secretly have another collab in my mind, but I can't.
Ooh.
I won't know it until after tomorrow.
Okay. So we have to stay tuned.
Okay.
You have to stay tuned.
All right. I think we can do
But
that.
I got to ask, though, who would be your dream collaboration? I feel like a lot of people would probably dream to collaborate with you. But who...
Okay, my dream collaboration is...
Beer
and
Busters.
I wanted to ask...
Let's do it.
Yes.
That would be fun. Who? Who would it be? If anyone, even dead or alive, who would you want to make a beer with?
I was actually going to ask him, but I can't now because he's brewing with a Belgian brewery, Roquefort. I would like to brew with Sam Calgione.
Oh,
wow.
Well,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Because he's very creative,
Yeah.
and we could
Two
have fun.
trailblazers here.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
And I feel like trailblazers like that complement each other, but because you're very much like the traditional, the German style,
And
very
he's
old
way
school.
out
He's like,
there.
I'm going to try anything and see if it
But
sticks.
you know, by the time I think of something, he's done it.
He is one of those people that's like,
He drives me
sad.
nuts.
but he does still respect
Oh yeah, totally.
the styles
Yeah.
too.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I think I can
No, he
accept his
does.
craziness because of that. That would be an awesome collab.
That would be.
We need
yeah.
to make that happen.
Yeah.
Can you arrange that?
Yeah, I'll work on it.
Well, actually, when before his brewery, he had the little brew pub in Rehoboth. And did you ever see his little first?
I've seen pictures of it.
Oh,
Oh, I've
my
seen they have
God.
Yeah.
it. It's now part
Like
of
part
the
of the
tour
tour,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever taste the beer?
No, no.
Oh my God! But he sold my large bottles.
Oh really?
Sometime we have to get to my whole why I got started into bottling, but I had my beer in large 750 milliliter champagne bottles, and they had to be kept chilled because it was fresh beer. They weren't pasteurized or stable. So, but he would sell them, and he loved them,
That's so cool.
which was kind of cool.
yeah.
So what did finally get you to bottle? 'Cause
Okay.
I mean, come
There
on.
we
I
go.
kind of have to know
Here we
now.
go.
Well, first
And
of
I'm going to
all-
sip on this APA while we're doing
Is that what we're doing next? Okay,
I think
I
it's
just
probably-
wanted to decide which
Well,
one
you
we were
can
doing next.
sip while I chat.
There we are.
Okay.
So my lovely husband, Ed, for my birthday, bought me a bottle filler, 1901 bottle filler. What? For my birthday.
Did he have good intentions with this, or was he trying to make you crazy?
We
Well-
do have an antique mall, right? So, no.
He
Did
loves-
he buy it from the antique mall?
Oh, it could have been.
came from Ohio. And he bought it for fun because he loves to collect things. And he thought it would be cute for me to have this bottling line. Well, we had it in the beer garden, and I was trying to sell beer. And you don't sell beer without taking a sample in the beginning. So I asked our friend who was a plumber, and one of our friends, let's see if this thing works. And the idea was just to bottle beer so I could take out to sample to potential new customers. Well, there's 6, or there's how many? 6 or 8 fillers, and sometimes 3 of them work, sometimes 6 of them work, but at least I could get beer filled. And so will they be how long will they be fresh? So we started keeping them in the cooler and tasting them after 1 week, 2 weeks, and they were actually okay. So we started selling beer retail. So that's how I got into the bottling. And my first bottles of beer I got from the Mount Hope Winery. And it was green glass. I know that's not. I know. Stop.
Well, it's great for saisons, just saying.
That's true.
There are some beers that
I
love
know.
the green bottle.
Yeah.
I know.
But back then, people didn't know any better, so it doesn't matter.
I know. Well, anyway, but can you imagine in the climate then where most of the beer sold in a beer distributor case, warm on the floor,
Yep.
except in the wintertime when it's cold. So my beer, if they kept it, had to be kept chilled. And the case was probably $60-some. It was expensive. So I basically hit the larger distributors, and some of them I found didn't keep them well, so I actually had to pull them. So it was kind of a nightmare, but, you have to have beer in a bottle. And so then we looked at getting a bottling line, and it was just couldn't afford, and I didn't want to go into debt. I was still paying off on the brewery, so we looked into contracting. Sam Adams was contracting, why can't I? So I interviewed with FX Matt and Pittsburgh and the Lion Brewery, and I picked the Lion Brewery because the batch size was, instead of 500 barrels, it was 300, and it was closer. And I can go and, brew up there, and they would take my yeast, believe it or not. So I had a 10-year relationship with the Lion Brewery, and it was okay, but the draft beer here in Adamstown was like the big sister, and the contract was the stepsister. And so then what happened is, now we have Victory, and we have Trogs Brewing, and we have Yards, and they did their own bottling. So I had to make the decision, do I want to just become a brew pub, just brew here, or invest in the bottling line? So we had to shell out a bunch of money and get this bottling line, which is just, when it works, it's awesome. It's like
When it
double
works.
pre-evacuation. We have very good stabilization.
Right.
We put, I guess, 6 months on, but if kept properly, they'll last over a year.
Right.
But you need a full-time mechanic, which I am not.
You don't have one of your children to do that? You have one of them fill in that
My
job?
son-in-law is good at it, but he works in a lab. So.
Oh, okay.
But he has helped me sometimes. But it's the worst part. And then you have to have packaging.
Yeah.
You have to have 6-packs. Then they had 12-packs. Then now they have 15-packs. And now everyone's going back to 6-packs and single bottles. So anyway.
I feel like 12-packs were very short-lived. in
They
Pennsylvania.
were.
Very,
But guess
very.
what? We had to get them.
Of course.
Continuing our way through the flagship beers.
Yes.
All right.
And
We are, yes.
I am maybe halfway through the APA.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
really
about the
good.
same.
So I know you mentioned the Helles was like the first beer, the first Stoudts beer. The
Pils is the world beer, the World
world
Cup
beer.
beer.
And that would be maybe 4th or 5 because I did an amber lager in the middle that eventually became our Oktoberfest beer.
Okay.
But not really, more of a golden,
Right.
deep golden. Right? It's not really amber, the Oktoberfest, right?
So it's more of an actual German Oktoberfest. Now, Carol, you're kind of known for that you want to make the beers that you want to drink. And I've always respected you for saying that. But unfortunately, and we've seen our own friends in the industry and brewers that they don't always get to do that anymore. And it's it's disheartening them because they say, I have to brew what the customer wants. In the end, I'm a business. I have to make money, and I get all of these things. But I see these almost broken-hearted brewers that are so sick and tired of brewing styles that the consumer wants, and they're losing their own identity in the process. So how do you still brew the beers that you want?
Sick man.
Well,
She's stubborn.
Poor
Really
Ethan.
stubborn.
I'm stubborn, I'm independent, and I believe that if you make quality beers, the people that really understand good beer will drink them. I am not going to make a beer style that I really think is bizarre. I will not add flour or glitter or anything to the beer if it doesn't belong there.
Amen.
It's just that.
So tell us about the APA.
Okay, APA wasn't I will tell you about the APA, but I want to tell you about Scarlet Lady first.
Okay.
Because
This was my ever first favorite craft beer, by
I
the
was
way.
just going to say this and Victory Hop Devil were my two first craft beers.
This and
no.
Harpoon.
This was
and
early
Harpoon.
for me.
very
Yeah.
good
IPA.
beers. Well, Philadelphia was my main market, but people were drinking Bass Ale, and that's not real. You couldn't even find a Fuller's or a good ale, and so I thought I'm going to make an ale. I didn't want to compete with Sierra Nevada; they were making a pale ale, so I decided to make an ESB, and so it became Stoudts ESB. Do you think it would sell ESB?
Nope.
No. People don't understand it. I don't like
And 30
bitter.
years later, people still don't understand.
People still don't get it.
So guess what? And we will rebrand this eventually. But anyway, we decided to name it Scarlet Lady. I don't know why. But anyway, but it sells very well. And we also now have it on Nitro.
Ooh.
Oh, really?
Phenomenal.
Nice.
Yeah.
Really
Really
creamy.
good.
Really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember me and some of my friends and family. We used to hang out a lot, and we were young, in our early to mid 20s, and we were getting into figuring out what we like. We weren't just drinking to get drunk anymore. We were trying to figure out what do we really like to drink. We were trying different wines, different things, and we'd go to Mary's Six Pack and the pale ale, but specifically the Scarlet Lady. It was the packaging. At first, it was the Scarlet Lady, the packaging, the cool Art Nouveau artwork on it.
The lady,
as it were, the titular lady, and we would pick it up because it looked cool, and we were just trying to figure out what cool things were out there, and it became one of my
So
My
you're
first craft
drawn to
beers.
packaging first.
Well, he's also sort of an artist.
Yeah,
as
I
it
am.
were. He does
No,
all of our
he's
sort
design.
of. He's
Yeah.
an artist.
So I am drawn to packaging, and back then even more because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what an ESB was. I had no idea.
I do that with wine sometimes. I
Yeah.
like a pretty label.
I do the same thing with wine because I know nothing about wine.
The last bottle of wine I bought was because Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead was on it. That's why I bought that bottle.
That wine wasn't bad.
I hope
it was all
I
right.
hope it was good.
It was okay.
It wasn't bad. It was a $15 bottle. It was, passable. I'm also not a huge wine guy, so I might not be the authority on that.
So anyway, Scarlet Lady, we use English malts and we use Fuggles and Ken Goldings, but I think it's a lovely beer, goes great with food, and Philadelphia was really in a lot of accounts in Philadelphia. It's very, very drinkable.
Mm-hmm.
And we threw Bass Ale out. It was one beer we could target. You taste this, you taste Bass Ale. What do you think is better?
Yeah. No contest. Yeah.
So then eventually we did do an APA, and APA is 100% American ingredients, and we do dry hop it, and of course we use lots of clusters and lots of cascades.
Mm-hmm.
The original microbrewed hop. Yeah.
The original, yes.
And I love Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, but this is different. I always say it's more it's closer to a British, even though it's not a British Pale Ale. It's more east.
It feels a little
East-
fuller and maltier. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what I miss about hoppy beers.
Yeah.
So-
This is the kind of beer that used to be really cool.
In my mind, it still
Well,
is.
it still is, but I'm
It
saying,
still is. So, you do have the title of being the first female brewmaster, and you very proudly hold that title. And there are so many more women now in the industry in many different capacities, including owners and brewmasters. Because of all the experience you've had over the last 30 plus decades, what advice would you give to brewers?
Wait, correction. 30 decades?
Did I say 30 decades?
You combined. You said when to say 30 years, and then you said decades.
The
Math
beer
is
really
hard.
preserves me, doesn't it?
Math is hard. Math is hard.
You're crossing into millennia now.
Okay. You can just leave that in. I'm an idiot. So, all of your expansive experience and time in this industry, what advice would you give to females in the craft beer world now?
I get asked this a lot, and I think first of all, if you want to get into the business, I think you should participate it. You should, if you want to get into brewing, work for brew pubs of different sizes. Then if you can work in a small production facility and work your way up, do kegging, cleaning, lab work or whatever. But you have to really realize it's very hard work. You do a lot of cleaning. You don't just make a great beer and it's just going to sell. It's there's a lot of steps in. So do your research and just take your time. Go to a good brewing school. If you can't go to Germany or I like Siebold. I think it's one of the best. It's my personal opinion. And surround yourself with people who are very passionate. Our industry is very open. We don't, keep recipes hidden in safes. We help each other out. I know someone. I'm sorry, I digress. Another
We
person,
love tangents. Don't worry.
Another person I'd love to brew a beer with is Dick Cantwell.
Oh, that would be perfect.
Yeah.
That would be
Yeah.
amazing. I'd like to be there for that one. I want to be a fly on the wall.
He's so amazing. When he used to work for Elysian, my daughter Laura lives in Seattle, and she used to work for Elysian, and we would visit Dick, and he would always be at one of the small little breweries. He liked the 3 and 7 barrel system, and this day he was making a 3 peppercorn saison. And I got to put the peppers in with him. It was kind of cool. But what I love about him is he'll go down to the Asian markets and he'll just look at the fruits or whatever, and then he'll decide to create a beer.
Just be inspired.
I know. He's very artistic, very creative, and I think probably one of my, I'm glad I know him, and I really, high accolades for him.
That's awesome. I remember I did my internship at Iron Hill when Chad was still there. And one of the things that he said to me that really stuck with me is he's like, whatever you do, make sure that you brew at a place where you really love the beer. Learn from people that are brewing the beer that you want to drink. And that really stuck with me because it seems obvious, yet it doesn't seem obvious at the same time. But you do want to surround yourself with the people that are doing the things that you want to do and making the products that you want to make.
Iron Hill's a good one to do it with.
Yeah.
They have a good program.
And it's amazing to see all of the people that have started there and now all of the places like Chad going to Columbia Kettle Works and, we have 2SP now and all of these other breweries that have spawned out
Larry
of that.
Horowitz is in
Columbus now.
Columbus.
Yeah,
Right.
it's crazy and it's nice to see and how open to that idea the guys from Iron Hill are. They so encourage their brewers to do that. And, they're okay with being that springboard. If you want to start here and share your talents with us for this amount of time and then go off and do your thing, I think it just gives Iron Hill an even better name too.
Absolutely.
When they can connect themselves with all of these. But, yeah.
I think a lot of the older, more mid-sized craft breweries like Weyerbacher has a history like that. Like a lot of their brewers have gone on to other places. Brian from Sly Fox just opened his own place. Like Trogs has had people come through that have gone on to do other things. It's an industry where and I assume other industries are like this to an extent, but an industry where it's like, yeah, you can come here, you can learn your craft, you can work with us, and then we give you our blessing to go basically be our competitor, but I feel like in beer nobody really looks at them
most part, it
as
doesn't seem to be much animosity.
Yeah. On the business end, I see the competition thing, but it's one of those things where, and I know we've said it a bunch, the rising tide raises all ships. It's more of a community than it is for anything else. It's
I feel like new breweries opening up that are making quality products are just going to help you.
Right.
Where you don't want new breweries opening up making shitty beer because that's just going to hurt the
especially
local
if
craft
the
beer
shitty
community.
beer
That's what happened in the 90s.
Yeah. And it's kind of happening now.
we struggled in the 90s because no one wanted craft beer because there was a lot of cool packages on the shelf that weren't moving. And so then a lot of consumer thought, I'm going to go back to my imports. I'm going to go back to my domestic beers. It was tough.
Yeah.
That's what happened in
the
the
inherent
90s.
Cheese and bread. She's bringing cheese and bread. She's bringing cheese and bread. She's bringing cheese and bread.
Okay, we had to
cheese
get
and bread,
Yeah.
cheese and bread, cheese and bread.
Okay.
No.
The most dangerous thing you could have done was handed the cheese to
Would you
Wayne.
like-
That's true.
I think you should, Elizabeth, why don't you explain the breads
Yes.
and the cheeses and then we'll think about what beer we want to taste next.
Ooh.
What do you want to taste?
Everything.
There's so many choices.
Cheese.
Cheese and bread.
Bread.
Bread
Cheese.
and cheese.
Cheese.
Cheese and bread.
Bread.
We talked about him earlier, but Elizabeth, you were kind enough to go grab some for us. A plate of cheese and a basket of bread. What do we have?
For the breads, we brought just the basic sourdough, so you can just taste it. And then we went with the beer bread. We actually put beer in almost all of our breads.
That's incredible.
Because why wouldn't you?
Right.
Yeah, why wouldn't we? Beer flows kind of a little faster from our taps
And I don't
than water.
even charge her.
Right. That's true.
So nice.
Most of the low fills do actually come
So
up to
it's
the bakery.
cheaper for you
It's
to use
true.
beer
Yeah.
than water.
I think so. It really is. And then we have a Harvest Dark. So that has the pumpkin seeds and oats. It actually has a little bit of a smoked malt in there, and the pumpkin seeds kind of pulls that flavor out a little bit. Sauerkraut rye is the other one. And then for cheese, we brought Red Barn. And the
My
Red Barn
favorite.
is a little bit closer to you.
Red Barn, I love.
And then
This one was red, so I
Yeah,
just assumed.
Right.
thought it
This is
too.
good. This
so that
one is
one's
good.
called Horizon. It's
Okay.
got a tiny bit of heat to it. It's got Ethiopian spices in the center, and then there's a beer mustard, of course, in the center.
And with the snap of a finger, we have another beer.
Oh, there's the stuff.
Dun, dun, dun,
That's
dun.
a really slow snap. Sorry.
We got bread, we got cheese, we got more beer.
We're not going to want to leave, ladies.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Oh, well,
3
thank you.
types of fermentation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
That's
right?
true.
Fermentation
Oh.
is beautiful.
Thank you very much.
So we now have the gear shifter.
Gear Shifter is our brand new IPA. And, another cool thing is I finally, after 31 years, bought an experimental system.
Oh,
And
yeah, I heard about this.
who was the first person who brewed on it? Me.
Nice.
I was never a home brewer. First beer I was the first it was the start of the gear shifter. And then after we do it on our experimental system, we taste it, evaluate it, then it goes into full production. So I love this beer. We use about 3 different malted barleys, and we use Mosaic and Citra hops. And 7 different hop additions. So we have different levels of the hopping, which I just think creates just so much flavor and so much aroma.
Oh, wow. Yeah, smell it.
Can I just say that cheese does have a kick? What was that one called again? I don't remember. Elizabeth left
It has some spices.
She'll be back. They're,
It's very good.
that is my son-in-law, Elizabeth's husband.
Which one are we talking about?
This one.
The Blazing Horizon. That's
Horizon.
Bear. It's an Ethiopian pepper blend.
Ethiopian, that's what she said, yes. Thank you.
It's so
minds
good.
think the same, Elizabeth.
Should we play the game now?
Yeah, I think maybe we
Yes.
should.
This feels like a good time.
We're all out of order.
We are out of order, and I don't know what to do.
You're out of order. You're out of order.
The whole
There's
system's
too
out of
many
order.
good beers to
There's,
taste.
oh, my God, ain't that the truth?
Got that right.
But,
oh,
little-
man, hold on. I'm not even ready.
This is what happens when you give him fat dog.
it's true.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm ready.
Specifically, mole fat dog.
All right, everybody ready to play a game?
Yes.
We're gonna
Happy
play a
fun
game.
time game. Here we
Happy
are.
Fun time is on. Cheers, Internet, and welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, a podcast trivia segment that is purified by equatorial trade winds and filtered by volcanic rock. As we record this episode, 1 week ago was the 16th annual Extreme Beer Fest in Boston, though because of the time warp that is podcasting, by the time you're hearing this, it was probably like a month or so ago.
Yeah, give or take.
But whatever. Nevertheless, this beer fest, hosted by Beer Advocate, not owned by AB InBev, celebrates brewers who push the boundaries of brewing and raise a fist at the norm. These are their words. For better or worse, these extreme brews provide great fodder for a Happy Fun Time game and the classic, There's Weird in My Beer. So, in this game, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you a little bit about a beer, and then give you multiple choice options of what the weird ingredient in that beer is. And we'll go around the table. Everyone will alternate who goes first to guess on each question. Ryan Heitzgebot be damned. We will start with Dan to my left.
Oh,
Our
boy.
first beer is from Four Quarters Brewing. We begin with a 9% Imperial Stout from Four Quarters. This is a variation of a beer called Morning Star, which is made with lactose and cold brewed coffee. This version, they kick up the morning motif by conditioning it on Pop-Tarts, waffles,
Pop-Tarts,
or
please.
bacon.
I would accept
Oh, my
that.
God.
Imperial Stout, conditioned on Pop-Tarts, waffles, or bacon.
Did you say there was coffee in it also?
Yes.
Waffles.
Dan is saying waffles. Elizabeth.
I'm going to go with bacon.
Gonna go with bacon, Carol.
Bacon.
Bacon as well. And finally, Steph.
I want it to be Pop-Tarts, but it's probably not Pop-Tarts. What did Dan say?
I'm writing that down. I want it to be Pop-Tarts, but it's probably not.
I said waffles.
I'm going to say waffles because Dan always does really well at this game and I don't.
Okay, all right.
I'm
Steph
changing
also.
up my strategy this time.
You are changing up your strategy.
There is a method to
and
my madness on this one.
It pays off because it is, in fact, waffles.
Don't get me wrong. I love stouts, the style, and the brand, obviously. I love coffee and I love bacon, but I don't think bacon and coffee would work well together in a stout.
Yeah, it'd be a bit of a stretch. This is called Waffle Star.
Somebody prove me wrong, please.
A base of Morningstar Imperial Stout with lactose, maple syrup, and coffee, conditioned on toasted waffles and bourbon barrel-aged maple syrup.
Freaking God.
And Dan is now leaving the podcast to go back in time to Boston. Moving on to our second beer of the game, and guessing first on this one, and I meant to ask you before we started, do you prefer Liz, Beth, Elizabeth?
It doesn't matter.
All right, I'm going to call you Elizabeth. Elizabeth is going to guess first on this one. This is a 6.8% sour IPA from Henry and Fran. It's called A World Lit Only by Fire, which is pretty freaking metal. It is
world
made,
lit only by fire.
Yep, and
is
it
it a
is-
Rausch beer?
It is made with pineapple, mango, and something else that is equally
It should be
frickin' metal.
something spicy.
Is it mace, butane,
What?
or tear gas?
I hope mace.
I hope mace.
As in, like, the spice mace.
All right, fair. All right, saying mace. Carol, what do you think?
I think mace.
Thinking mace as well.
Dan,
Steph?
what would you say?
Steph, I'm curious what you would say first.
I don't think it's butane. I feel like that would be illegal. What was the other option?
It was mace, butane, or tear gas.
Tear gas. Oh, I thought Rich was behind me. Isn't tear gas just like a bunch of peppers? I'm going to say tear gas because I think that's peppers.
Steph's going to say tear gas because I think it's peppers.
I think I'm going to say tear gas also.
Ooh, Dan also saying tear gas. Dan and Steph are correct again.
My method is working.
So you guys are working against us. What is this?
Hey,
No, you
I
don't
know.
understand. I always lose these games.
She really
so I
does.
need to change my strategy.
It is, in fact, tear
And
gas.
Dan always wins.
Fun fact, A World Lit Only by Fire is also the title of an informal history of the European Middle Ages by American historian William Manchester. In it, Manchester scathingly posits that the Middle Ages were 10 centuries of technological stagnation, short-sightedness, bloodshed, feudalism, and an oppressive church wedged between the golden ages of the Roman Empire and the Resistance. Wow, hot takes indeed. Hot as tear gas.
So, but tear, that is like made of peppers, right?
I'm pretty sure.
Really
yeah.
hot peppers.
Yeah.
I don't
That-
think I'm wrong here.
That was a beer I couldn't actually find a whole lot of more information on. That's why I went into the
a whole lot of more.
It's not a real beer. Are you kidding
Yeah,
me?
it was at the Extreme Beer Fest in Boston last week.
Are you serious?
All these beers were.
Or this weekend.
Or a month ago.
Was it? Did
No, it was last week.
So it already happened
when we were,
even when
we
we're
were
recording.
originally supposed to be here. It was happening right now. But it was
Oh, I
last
see.
week. 'cause
Okay,
we
that's why I was confused.
We snow dated. Moving on.
We snow dated.
And Steph's gonna guess first up on this
No,
one.
Carol's up first.
Oh, Carol's going to guess first up on this one. I'm sorry. Next up, a 6% brown ale from Black Hog Brewing that is made with a
Oh, I've been
phonetically
there. They're near OEC.
a phonetically fitting ingredient that is also made with brown ale. Is it brownies, brown rice, or eyebrows?
No.
I don't know. It is Extreme Beer Fest.
That it is.
Brownies, what?
Brownies, brown rice, or eyebrows?
What was the beer style?
Brown ale.
Oh.
There's a theme. What are you going to say, Carol?
I'm not doing eyebrows, sorry.
That's too extreme. What would be the point?
Let's do brownies.
All right, saying
Dan?
brownies. Steph,
You're up next, not
I
me.
feel like Dan would say brownies.
when in doubt, brownies.
I'm going to say brownies.
All right, Steph saying brownies. Dan?
Brown rice would be too easy.
I know.
Yeah,
That's not extreme.
I don't know. Would brownies go well with a brown ale?
Yeah. Chocolatey.
Yeah, let's go with that.
All right, Dan also saying brownies. Everybody saying brownies. Elizabeth, what do you think?
Brownies.
Agreeing.
Hey,
Circle
across
gets
the
the
board.
square. Everybody is correct.
Wow. First
Yes.
one.
This is called brownie inception. A brown ale made with brownies, made from the brown ale they made before they made the brown ale with brownies. Everybody
What?
got that?
No.
It's a brown
don't say
ale.
It again. Don't say it again.
Made with brownies from the brown ale they made before they made the brown ale that was made with brownies. Got it? Got it. Good. Moving on to our fourth and mercifully final beer of the game. And Steph is actually going to guess
shit.
first on this
I
one.
need to look at Dan.
Finally, we have a 4.5% baseball stadium-worthy smoked cream ale
A smoked cream ale?
from Cambridge Brewing that is made with
I've been there too.
mustard seed, hot dogs, or hot dog buns. You get to guess last.
Does
So
she,
don't give
you
it away.
know, don't you? Damn it.
Mustard seed, hot dogs, or hot dog buns.
I hope it's not hot dogs. Why would you do hot dog buns? That seems stupid. I'm going to say mustard seeds.
All right, Steph is saying
'Cause that would be
mustard
good.
seed. Dan, what do you think?
Hey, Steph, I'm going to say hot dogs.
Damn it!
Oh, Dan is saying hot dogs. Elizabeth?
I'm going to try Steph's, and go with Dan.
All right,
hot dogs.
let's say hot dogs. Try Steph's strategy. And finally, Carol?
I'm going with the buns.
Going with the hot dog buns. Everybody is correct because the answer is all of the above. Yes.
You trickster.
Yep, it's called Burnt Weenie Sandwich. Smoked cream ale. It's brewed with Rauch malt, flaked corn, Sriracha Ace hops, mustard seed, toasted hot dog buns, and charred kosher beef hot dogs.
So it's a full hot dog, ready for the
It's
base.
all of it.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I want to try this.
Do you know why?
Why?
Frank Zappa. Let me tell you why. For the uninitiated, which includes me before I Googled this because I didn't know this, Burnt Weenie Sandwich is also the name of the 6th studio album by Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention, and the 9th by Zappa, released in 1970. So we're going to add up the points. We have a very interesting situation. My fellow beer busters, because they copied off of each other, are both tied with a perfect score.
Yay!
I'm doing this all the
4
time.
out of 4
Well, to be
correct.
fair, we didn't copy off each other for the last one. You just threw a trick question.
That's true. Everybody got that
Elizabeth and I are the rookies, so come on.
one right. Yeah,
That's true.
well,
That's
Team
true.
Stoudts, you got a 50%, 2 out of 4. Not too bad. So this is, of course, the part of the podcast where we shout out to our most generous patrons on Patreon, including brand new patron on the list.
Hey.
Bow, bow, bow. Thank you so much. Brand new patron. Sorry it took you like 3 episodes after you pledged because we're so far ahead in recording. But finally, we can say, Kathy, oh boy, Obazuski?
That's a 10 for you, buddy.
Email me and tell me if I said your name wrong. But thank you so much for becoming a patron at the $5 or more level. Followed by the following individuals. Perennial favorite, James Lamberg.
I'm 3 for 3.
The one and only, that's No Baloney, Joe Mansell.
I like cookies.
Eric Dixon. Let's go to the van. Nate Falkman.
Why would you open with something so big?
Brian Mills.
Too damn delicious.
Wolfgang Von Colt.
You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever let you down.
Jen McDonald.
So sticky.
It's not what I wanted to hit.
Nope. Marilyn Engelman.
Oh, God.
Careful,
I'm just gonna,
careful.
Let's go with...
Fruity Pebbles.
That's fair.
Perfect.
Josh Price.
Wee heavy.
Ron McDonald. Bleep. And Victoria Miles.
Joing.
If you want to find out how you can get on this list,
Eric Walters.
you don't give us money. You don't
Get
get your
outta
name
here.
said. You don't give us money.
Patreon.com/beerbusters.
If you want to
Eric,
find out how to get your name on this list legitimately and not by
as
crashing
he-
the podcast,
As he fake looks for his phone.
as you fake looked at my phone, go to
It's true.
patreon.com/beerbusters to sign up to become a patron and get cool behind-the-scenes perks, including Last Call, the bonus portion of the podcast that only our patrons get to
We
listen
do
to.
a podcast.
Podcast.
I've said so many words
You
so
have.
fast. Dan, what happens now?
We got to settle up.
Let's pay some bills.
Say, Yvonne, remember when I said I'd have to send away to NASA to calculate your bar tab?
Oh, yeah. We all had a good laugh, Mo.
The results came back today. You owe me $70 billion.
This episode is brought to you by Vinyl Me Please. Vinyl Me Please is a Record of the Month club. Every month, they feature one album that is essential to the modern vinyl collection. They send it to thousands of members worldwide. As a member, you're going to get features you won't find anywhere else, like bonus tracks, inserts, colored variants, 12x12 exclusive album-inspired art, and even a custom cocktail pairing recipe. They work closely with the label and artists to come up with something you're not going to find anywhere else. Colored vinyl, custom lyric books, and personal notes from the artist. The membership is flexible and will work for you and with you. And they know that trusting someone else with your music can be pretty scary, which is why you can substitute a record of the month with one from the VMP archives. There's no contract, no strings, no guilt trips, and you can cancel at any time, and they don't have any hidden fees, including shipping. Shipping is included with your membership. A couple examples of VMP Artists of the Month include Van Morrison, Queen, Muddy Waters, Beck, Mitski, Arctic Monkeys, Miles Davis, and Weezer. To find out more and sign up today, head over to joinvmp.com/beerbusters. Again, that is joinvmp.com/beerbusters.
No.
Your beers.
No. Know your beers?
Steph, what do you got?
So, since we were coming here and I was reminiscing about all things Stoudts, I realized that we've talked about ESBs before, but we've never really talked about what ESB means and where it came from. So I thought this could be an interesting thing to talk about. So I did a little research, and I learned that bitter is an English specialty and a very much an English term. which is probably why so many Americans don't understand it. It generally denotes the standard ale or the session beer in an English brewer's range. They are characterized by fruitiness, light to medium body, and an accent on hop aromas more than hop bitters. Colors range, of course, from very golden up to quite copper. Now, despite the name, as we all know, these beers are not particularly bitter. Indeed, British brewers' bitters will often be less bitter than U.S. beer bitters, or U.S. amber ales. A fuller-bodied bitter is labeled as an extra special bitter, or ESB. These weightier versions of bitter often stand up better to the rigors of travel overseas than the lower gravity standard versions. And I just say this is really hard to do with all you guys eating cheese and beer in front of me. I mean,
and
cheese
bread.
and bread.
Sorry.
And beer. I need to not look. I need to squint away.
Have
I
you
need
tried
like those
this one yet?
blinders. Stop!
I love the rye.
Oh, it's so
It's
good.
all amazing.
Damn it, that one's my favorite. Stop. An important element of faithful bitters is the use of English yeast cultures in fermentation. These impart a fruity, mildy, estery character that should be noted in examples of the style. Bitters are now widely emulated in North America, sometimes with domestically grown hops, imparting a rather more assertive character than seen in traditional English bitters. Now, in England today, this I did not know. In England, ESB is actually a Fuller's trademark. And no one
Really?
thinks of it as a generic class of beer in England. It is a unique but very well-known beer that has a very strong, complex malt profile not found in other examples. In America, however, ESB has been co-opted to describe a malty, bitter, reddish standard strength for U.S., of course, British type ale, and is a... this article said a popular craft beer style. I don't necessarily agree with that. But the family of British bitters grew out of English pale ales as a draft product in the late 1800s. The use of crystal malts in bitter became more widespread after World War I. Traditionally served very fresh under no pressure, so like on a hand pump,
right.
At cellar temperatures. Most bottled or kegged versions of UK-produced bitters are often higher in alcohol and more highly carbonated version of the cask products for export and have a different character and balance, of course, than their draft counterparts. Often they'd be sweeter and less hoppy. Several regional variations of bitter exist, ranging from darker, sweeter versions served with nearly no head to bright, hoppier, paler versions with large foam stands and everything in between. There you go. So some stuff I knew, some stuff I didn't know.
I didn't know it was a trademark.
No, I had no idea.
I just assumed it was a
No
style.
idea.
Yeah.
Huh.
So
The more you know.
Yeah, right.
is there another name that they use? Because you said it was
Bitter.
sort of-
They just
Yeah,
call them
just
bitter.
bitter.
so
And
that's
I've-
just a bitter.
Yeah.
I learned that, just that one. Like, they just order bitter at a pub.
But there's
From,
there's also best bitter.
Is it best bitter?
Yeah, isn't there a best
Oh,
bitter?
I didn't
Give
know
me
that.
your
That's
best bitter.
higher alcohol.
Is that what that means?
That would make
I
sense.
think so.
Okay.
I had a friend who went overseas to England with his now wife, and I told him just go to a pub and order a pint of bitter. He's like, I don't like bitter. I don't like IPA. He's like, just trust me, just do it. It's not an IPA. Just do it. It's what they call it. Came back, I asked him. He's like, no, man, I didn't get to do it. It's like, what do you mean? Like, I know you drank over there. I saw you post the pictures online. Why did you not order a bitter? He needs to learn. That's all.
I need the sauerkraut. That's this one, right?
Yeah, eat that rye bread. That is so good.
Rye bread is my favorite.
It's my favorite, too.
Oh. I even get grilled cheese sandwiches on rye bread.
Oh, so good. So good.
Oh my God, this with that cheese
Yeah.
even?
Shout out to Urban Village. Dan and I were there again recently.
Yes.
Had their rye beer again. Their rye bread beer tastes just like rye
Well,
bread.
and we had Riot.
we
which
had
is really
rye
good.
at Mainstay.
Well, no, that was another Urban Village.
Oh, that
beer.
was at Urban Village as well. That's
Yeah,
right. That's
there you
right.
go.
Someone else makes a beer with that name. So I need to look at my notes because I don't want to get this wrong. But in August, I was lucky enough to be at the event where you were the first recipient of the Presidential Award given to this by the State Trade Group, Brewers of Pennsylvania, of course. And they presented this award to you at the 2018 meeting of the Malt in Bethlehem. And it says the award is in recognition and appreciation for outstanding achievement and extraordinary contributions to the Pennsylvania craft beer industry. So, first of all, what a great honor, but also what a great honor to be the first person to receive this award. What was that like?
I was shocked. Well, actually, Bill Kowaleski called and said, Carol, you're going to come to the meeting of the malts. And I said, I'm not sure. I'm pretty busy.
No,
I
you're
think
gonna
you
come.
should come. And I really didn't know what was going on, but because he's trying to get me more involved. So I said, okay, I'll go. And then all of a sudden, my salespeople were there, My husband was there, and I thought, okay, something's going on.
So you didn't know about this prior to the event?
I did not know
Oh,
about
wow.
it.
They kept a secret.
Which was cool, but it was kind of amazing. Yeah. See, the industry's awesome. They're just very open, very sharing, very complimentary. I know Bill often says, Ron and I must have been crazy opening up a brewery like 30 minutes from you. He said. And doing lagers.
Such a good guy. Such
I
good
said
guys.
no.
You know
No,
what, though?
they're
I'm so
wonderful.
thankful to have you and Victory so close, because whenever Rich and I travel to Germany, when we come home, I'm going through withdrawal. Like, I do not want craft beer at all. But knowing that I can come here or go to Victory
Right.
and the great Pennsylvania breweries that still make
Phenomenal,
good German
yeah.
lagers, it's what gets me through that withdrawal till I can transition back into craft beer again. But it's been too long. I just got my passport renewed. We might have to go back
So
again
did I.
soon.
Just take a Beer Busters trip to Germany.
Yeah, we don't have that kind of funds. I mean, we can all go together,
Right.
but
It's just a group trip that happens to be us, not paid by the company,
not paid by the company.
because that's just not going to happen.
Sorry, guys. I'm too busy eating cheese.
Yeah, I know, man.
It's so good.
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
Round 2, fight.
So we've just been handed
More beer.
more beer.
More beer has
And
arrived.
This is the Hazy IPL, which we have been told that this is the haziest that Stoudts will get, and I think I can get on board with that statement.
Is that good?
That's great.
But this is the first of our Queen of the Hops series.
Queen of the Hops.
Queen of the Hops. How cool is that? And so we're doing 4 this year. The first one is the Hazy IPL, which you're tasting now. And can you guess the hops?
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm not that
look
good.
at that. Look at the foam on that.
It's gorgeous.
And 80% of
Is there-
foam, you're going to get all your flavors from the foam. Did you know that?
That
I knew it was
effervescence
a
and,
high
yeah, that makes
percentage.
sense.
80%. Also, when people in a bar, they give you a flat beer, you really should ask them to give at least an inch of head on,
Yeah.
because of what the olfactory factors with that.
There's,
And half a head is beer anyway.
Yeah.
yeah. There's
Right?
got to be mosaic in here.
Mosaic and
Citra?
No.
I thought it's because
No.
it's a crowd pleaser. I was
Azaka.
going to say
Azaka.
Citra.
Oh,
Azaka.
Oh,
This is great.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I love mosaic hops.
So do I.
They're delicious. This is really nice.
I like that it's not destroying the hop character. It's not like super sweet like New England IPAs. It's like, why even bother? Because like you're just basically making a milkshake, and you're kind of, I don't know, I feel like you're taking away from what the hops add to the beer by making it so sweet.
I don't think you taste the hops
Yeah.
when you do that, personally. But so we're doing a series of 4 Queen of Hops IPLs first. The next one will be a Brut IPA. The third one's going to be our first ever wit beer.
Oh, your first?
First
Whoa.
with beer, really?
First wit beer.
Huh.
We've done Weizens,
Yeah.
Dunkelweizens,
Right.
Right.
German, but not a wit beer.
Interesting.
So we're going to do a lot of experimentation with that because you have the Hogard and then you have Allagash as what I look at as the finest. I really love Allagash
Yeah.
as far as the wit. It's phenomenal. So we're going to play with it.
Nice.
And then the fourth one is going to be a hoppy American Pilsner.
Ooh.
I approve.
Yep, that's okay. Yep.
I love that there's no actual IPA in that list. Was that on purpose?
On purpose. We have the gear shifter.
Yeah. I like
Right.
that.
We like experimenting.
Yeah.
And it's fun. And 16-ounce cans, gear shifters in 12-ounce because that's part of the flagship.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just realized you said guess the hops earlier, and they're written in our notes. I should have just looked.
Are they?
Yeah, they're in the notes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So what is really interesting about this is that it's a hazy IPL. So
Right.
it's
It's a
essentially
lager.
it's got a lager yeast fermented as a lager, but then brewed with oats and wheat, giving it that soft mouth
Yes,
feel,
right.
and that hazy character. I don't know that I've had any other hazy IPLs.
I know I have not.
I mean,
So
it's
we're
definitely
are
like
you
if
telling me we're innovative?
well,
Maybe.
if you were gonna do a hazy beer, it makes sense.
Well, like
let's make it a lager.
I feel like Jack's Abbey is the ones that sort of made the IPL a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it kind of seems like an oxymoron, though, having lager and hazy in the same name for a beer.
This is true.
Well, this is a special beer. It's a one-off. It's already sold.
I love it.
It's not my flagship.
Right. It's delicious, though. But I think I love it because of the mosaic hops, I'm going to be honest.
The hops are really, and like I said, I like that the hop character's still there. It's not so sweet that it's, like, where are the hops? And it's not orange juice with pepper.
I'm having so much fun just creating different beer styles because of the wonderful hops from New Zealand, South Africa. Yeah. Just so many interesting hops. I mean, when I first started, you had the German Hallertauer Tettnang, you had the Czech Saaz, you had the Fuggles, Kent Goldings, you had Cascades, Columbus. But now look at what you have, so many different hop choices. And so it makes this really wonderful in trying to create a recipe, which is cool.
Have you worked with any local hop farmers yet, now that you have this small system?
We did. Last year, for our 30th anniversary, we did the PA Pearl, Pennsylvania Pearl. Pearl is the symbol for the month of May, and that's when we released it, and it was all Pennsylvania ingredients. Yeah, we use the hops from the place in Bucks County, and the malt came from a place near State College.
Oh, very cool.
The malt was really the problem. It's going to get better because more farmers are now starting to plant hops. But the problem with Pennsylvania is, only certain styles will be able to survive in this climate because, unfortunately, we have a lot of humidity.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a lot of choices. So then we had to do what we could with it. But it was very well received.
We've been fortunate enough to record with 2 different hop farms and 1 maltster, if my math serves me correct. And
French Creek, Sunny Bray, Deer Creek.
And Deer Creek, yeah.
Deer Creek is where we got ours.
Yes, Deer Creek's great, yeah.
It's great to hear that perspective and that passion for beer, but from an ingredient standpoint. It's very, very interesting. And at Sunny Bray, they made us dinner, so that was really
that was that was pretty awesome. That chili, and those cookies. Remember the cookies?
Oh my God, yeah,
the cookies were so good.
And now when we talk about this episode, we're gonna be like, "Do you remember the bread?
You remember
and
the
that
bread?
cheese?
The bread and the cheese?
Remember that cheese? The cheese?
I forget what this one was called. This was the Horizon.
That's a tome.
Red Barn.
That's the tome.
Oh,
That's
Red Barn,
yeah.
which is a tome.
Oh, okay, and then it has the rind on it. This is so good.
It really is.
So I have to just interject one thing. Like, before I leave this planet, or when I'm a robot walking around this property.
Well, aren't you just going to become one with the walls eventually?
There's a barn at the end of the property. It's red. Mm-hmm. And Elizabeth, it's filled with my husband's junk that he's collected. Anyway. So that's going to be cleaned out, and that's going to be our wild fermentation.
Oh, really?
Ooh, wait, what?
Really?
Whoa.
That's my dream. You have to
That's
have dreams.
cool.
Is this
right?
kind of breaking news?
That's a great idea.
You can't have a dream and not make it happen, Carol. Come on.
Well, the barn has to get cleaned out first.
Come on, Elizabeth. Where is she? Let's
Somebody
get on
clean
this.
the barn.
I feel like if you make this known, like, I will start wild fermentation if this barn gets cleared out. People will come.
People will
to
show
help.
up. You should just put out a call for volunteers.
That's true,
hey.
yeah.
People will come.
People will come.
Because we do sour mashes, but we have to be very careful because we don't want contamination with our yeast, with our pure yeast cultures.
Yeah, definitely.
It's so fun.
Oh, the wild barn.
I know, and it's Red Barn.
The wild red barn.
And it's a red barn.
Yes.
It's too perfect.
Fermentarium, is that what you call it?
Fermentarium. I think that's what you need to call it. Fermentarium.
Yeah, because what is it, like Santana? Wait, how do you remember? No.
Fermenteria.
Santeria.
Fermentaria. Santana. The firm.
Oh my
And my
gosh.
daughter has...
I already forgot what you said. Fermentarian.
She has fruit trees on... My daughter lives right back in the farmhouse, and there are fruit trees that are in her property. So can you imagine all the airborne?
It's too perfect.
Yeah.
You need to
Could
make
be
this
cool.
happen.
Yeah,
You need
definitely.
to make this happen.
Yeah.
Like this year.
this year.
Before I'm a robot.
Before you become one with the walls. You need to see this happen.
I don't know. I kind of like the idea of having the wild fermentation and then the robot brewer.
You could be one up on Tired Hands.
Because I was interviewed, and one of the questions was, what are you going to do in 30 years? Well, in 30 years, I'll be 99 years old.
Right.
So you'll be a robot brewer.
I'll be a robot.
Robot by then, probably, yeah.
We have a special bottle
We do.
at the table.
And it's corked.
And it is corked.
Corked and caged, not corked and capped.
Get more glasses.
Because it was bottled by people with souls.
That is true.
I didn't even get to talk about the barrel age program. Oh my
Barrel
goodness!
aging. We've got the wild barn.
Today.
Oh, jeez. All kinds of things are going
I know.
on.
I'm
Oh,
sorry.
wow.
So this is the Saison.
Okay, we have to stay focused.
Yes. We've got 2 bottles at the table. Oh my God.
I just told her about the barn.
And now, oh boy.
Wait till I tell my husband.
All the bed stuff is in there. That has to get moved first.
The rails are at the barn.
This
is how far off of them we are.
When
Did
we're
you
recording,
think we'd be off the rails with Carol?
not at all. Normally, when we're recording in my head, I'm like, okay, edit here, edit here, edit here. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this episode.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's going to be piecemealed, and it's going to be great.
All right, but can we just see that bottle real quick so we can talk properly about this beer? I'm sure Carol
Jen,
knows.
Yeah,
what it is.
Jen disappeared.
So tell us
All
about
right.
the Saison that Jen brought over.
Justin, our head brewer, he loves Saisons. I mean, and he's an avid home brewer. He does them all the time. So this is his Saison that is aged in wine barrels.
Oh,
it's
nice.
aged for a year.
I don't know how to spell Sauvignon, so I'm just going to write it.
Sauvignon. I think.
Sounds right.
I thought it was GNE.
You could be right.
Remember the time we played a spelling game?
I very rarely am, so I don't know if I'd believe
I won
me.
a spelling contest in 7th grade.
What is
I
it actually
lost one in
called?
6th.
Uh-oh.
I lost one, too.
This is just the Saison that's aged in the Sauvignon Blanc. Yeah, we do a sour sauce, which is a Berliner Weiss. Yes, and that's in the summer, and it'll be in a 16-ounce can, and did it last year for the first time.
Not going to try to spell it.
When
I
in
looked
doubt-
it up.
When in doubt, abbreviate.
No, when in doubt, abbreviate.
SAUV.
SAUV. So, is it time?
You were chomping at the bit for that.
Can I drink it now?
I think it should probably be time, if Carol agrees.
All right, I'm gonna really stress you out, though.
Oh, dear.
So first of all, what we did was take 3 barrels of Fat Dog, and in each barrel we put different ingredients. One was chocolate, one was cinnamon, and one was another type of spices. And then after aging, we combined them. That's the mole.
Interesting.
That's such
I
a
like
cool
that.
method.
I like that. So a blend, but with like different.
We did, yes, and that was the
That's
first
cool.
time we ever done that. It was a pain in the you-know-what, but but everyone loves it.
But for this moment,
was
it
the
is
word
worth
you were
it.
looking for.
So I have to ask, because this is a me question, what kind of whiskey for the barrels?
Kentucky.
I will accept that answer.
Well, that's because they are whiskey barrels.
Well, I meant brand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I don't know. What brand would you like it to be?
Oh, good answer.
Wow. Ooh.
Pappy? Isn't that a good one?
Yes, this was in Pappy Van
I
Winkle
think
barrels.
it's Woodford Reserve.
Dad's hat?
That is my favorite.
Yes, now the dust is off my brain, so it's Woodford
It's
Reserve.
coming back to me now.
Coming back. All right, would you like the first pour?
Please.
Oh, look at that. Look at that.
Guys, there's a mole stout and freaking doppelbock on the table. I think I'm going to die tonight.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Prost.
Prost.
Oh, my
Prost.
God.
Oh, man, I already drank some of it.
Oh, man.
Mm-hmm.
This is delightful.
Ooh. This smells...
So
like-
if you haven't been to Adamstown, this is your first time, maybe you have to frequent us,
Yeah, right?
right?
Yeah, and
I do, whenever I come back to the area.
your cousin Steph
1
literally
hour
lives...
and 15 minutes to Center City.
It was an hour
And I
45
live
to get
8
here.
miles away.
Well, guess what? You probably had traffic.
We
on
had a
your
lot of traffic.
side.
I just gotta come earlier in the day.
We left at like 4:30, so,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, it's going to be traffic.
This is delightful.
Oh my God, this is
so
great.
good. What's the, just out of curiosity, the ABV?
It's Fat Dog. That's all you need to know.
The ABV is
About a little
fat dog.
between 9 and 10.
All right, not too bad.
No.
Not too bad. Just tickling the double digits.
Yeah.
It's so delightful.
See, normally when the word moly is
Ginger
involved,
root,
all right,
raisins, chilies, coffee, cocoa nibs.
So do you know what this beer's really good with? We make Stoudts, like traditional,
Oh,
like
yeah.
Stoudts,
Yeah.
and it is like a perfect pairing.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. Wow. Oh.
And Elizabeth makes the best Stoudts. She took my mom's recipe, my husband's mother's recipe, and then she combined them and made her own, and they are the
new
best.
hybrid recipe. Wow.
How many thousands did you do last year?
I don't know.
She's like, I don't want to think about it.
I was wearing
upon
lard.
thousands.
I was like a lard.
We had to scrape the lard off of her.
Oh my God.
Softest skin for like a year.
Nice.
It's a natural moisturizer.
Nice. Yeah, there
It
you go.
is. That's why her skin's soft.
You know, it's funny. We were driving in here. We passed by Weaver's down the street, and I
They
remember.
make good shoe fly pies.
Yeah, I remember going there a couple of times. Dan and I with our dad, and it got me. I was like, oh wow, I've been there a couple of times. It's been a long time, and I was like, this is such like a cool, like quintessential Pennsylvania Dutch little town right here.
Oh, for sure.
And like Stoudts, I mean,
Right.
good German beer. Weaver's down
Cheese.
the street. The cheese,
Bread.
the amazing
Sauerkraut
cheese.
bread.
You never really asked us why we call our market the Wonderful Good Market.
Why do you call it the Wonderful Good Market?
Because
it's
Sounds
wonderful
like
and
a good Lancaster
Right.
County name for a market.
True enough.
We all
true
grew
enough.
up around here. We
True
accept
enough,
it.
True enough. But my, I was general managing down here at the restaurant for a long time, and the bakery was down here next to the brewery, like I said. And my father would come in, and of course, I, would greet him. And any of the days that he said that I'm like, how are you, Dad? That he would say, wonderful, good. I could throw anything at him. But like, if that didn't come out of his mouth, I'm like, well, it's
Wonderful Good.
I love that story.
So good.
That makes me happy. So before we end this, I believe we have one more beer.
One more beer.
One more beer.
And then last call.
Are you sticking around for one more beer? You look like you're suiting up to go. No, you
Okay.
can go. If you have to go, you
If I
can
must.
switch.
But was it the double? I think I drank it.
To be fair, it was sitting around for a long
Yes!
time.
Perfect.
You're officially one of my
I'm
favorite
glad
people.
she drank it. She's my daughter.
Perfect.
Oh, Mama.
Proud mama.
the rest of us are going to try this now.
I already did, and it's freaking amazing.
So what are we drinking?
Okay, so I told you we do a barrel-aged series, and they're all. So this is a double bock that's aged in red wine barrels
Oh,
for
my
a
God.
year, and that's available currently in 12 ounce. But
So good.
in the beginning of March, our second release will be a Belgium triple.
Whoa.
That's aged in Chardonnay barrel.
Oh.
Nice. And there's
Cool.
really cool packaging.
Just came out today.
Just came out today.
Check our social medias. We're gonna
This
post
is
it.
fresh
It's super
off
cool.
the press.
That's a 4-pack, isn't it?
Yeah, 4-pack. Because
That's
all
cool.
of our large big beers, like Fat Dog, our triple, the Believer, the Barrel Aged, everything is in a 4-pack.
It's cool. Really nice. This is so good.
This is
It is
delicious.
delicious.
And then the third of the Barrel Aged beers will be a quad, Belgium quad.
Of course.
So now that Elizabeth's here, she knows what my plan is.
About the
With
barn? The red barn?
Red Barn.
Let's make this happen.
Yeah. I was asked what I'm going to be doing in 30 years. I'll be a robot making Belgium
I
wild
don't know about
ales.
the robot part.
And the red barn.
In the red barn. In the red barn.
So here's the thing. You have to either
How about that?
clean out the barn.
Oh, we heard about the barn.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or just burn everything in it. Just leave the barn itself.
Ooh, smoked wild ales.
Oh, there you go.
I
No.
even mentioned your fruit trees, 'cause
They'd be perfect.
Yeah.
This is just meant to be.
Okay.
It's super exciting.
It is very exciting.
We're really into it.
you always have to wish above, right?
Dream big.
Right,
Yeah.
Elizabeth?
Yeah. Shoot for the moon.
I am perfect with that. I would love that.
I think it's a
Sours
great
are my
idea.
favorite
She
beers.
loves sours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be
I'm
great.
going to throw out there, and this is a callback for Steph and Wayne. I just let Eric try the beer. His first and only word was smooth.
Smooth.
It is smooth for as much as going on in it.
It's delicious.
It's really nice. I like the red wine character to it.
So before we get off the rails again, I just want to re-mention, we've already talked about the steampunk event, which you guys missed, so make sure you follow social media. And the Kick Up Your Kilts Brewers Classic, March 2nd.
Kilty as charged.
But Stoudts also does a lot of off-premise events as well. Carol already talked about the event at Memphis Tap Room, best place in Philly. February flagships.
Flagship
That's
February, right?
Which way does it go?
Flagship, right? Flagship February.
What was your hashtag?
But you guys are also doing Make Flagship cool again. I had to look. Yes. You have an event coming up at Franklin House too.
Right.
Hibernation, of course, which is a good time. That is the infamous beer fest where I spilled That's What She Said all over me, and where I got a free Evil Genius shirt.
Because you spilled the beer all over you.
Taste of Kutztown is coming up, which is a fun time. You guys are even doing Pittsburgh Brew Fest. Oh, the German Society Fest. If you have never done the German Society Fest, holy fuck, that is an amazing event.
Oh, and if
beer,
you
cider, and cheese.
And this beer is going to be like in the main event.
Oh,
the
nice.
VIP event.
Nice. This
And
beer
there's
is perfect
there's
for
the
that.
cheese basement.
The cheese basement with all the cheeses. It's amazing. And good. There's always good music there, too. But that is an awesome event. I love it there. Golf in Galleria at the Reading Public Museum. They do great events at the Reading Public Museum, especially their beer events. And Lancaster Roots and Blues Festival. So please follow Stoudts. You can check Stoudts.com. Their events are on there. Facebook.com/Stoudts Brewing Company and also /Stoudts Restaurant Pub, because you got to give Ed and Carol some equal love, too. On Instagram, they are at Stoudtstagram, and on Twitter, they are at Stoudts Brewery. So just follow all that for all the great events that are coming up and beer releases and all that nonsense. But if you haven't been to Adamstown, come. If you haven't been to Adamstown in a while, why the fuck not? And cheese, bread, and beer.
Learn from my mistake. Get here as soon as you possibly can.
Better would.
I
see you.
I promise you. Next time I'm back in Reading, I will stop here.
Can we change our Instagram handle to Bustagram?
Bustagram. Yeah, I love that it's
Stoudtstagram is so awesome.
They do have the best handle. I love it. I love it.
That is incredible.
Find us on the internet at Beer Busters, which isn't as cool as Stoudtstagram.
It's really not, but there's a lot of goodies that are there at Beer Busters, Twitter and Instagram. Beer Busters Podcast on the Facebook and beerbusterspodcast.com and patreon.com/beerbusters. That's how you get yourself a lot of cool behind-the-scenes stuff. You can get your name read out in the patron roll call. You get last call, which I am afraid
we're about to do
excited.
last call. I feel like Elizabeth wants to leave.
Elizabeth probably won't be around for last call, and that is totally cool.
Yep.
But I feel like we'll get a couple good stories out of Carol.
Of course.
I think
of course. And
is there another beer you want to try?
Oh, she's my favorite person ever.
Of course there is. There's always another beer we want to try. That's the tagline for last call.
Name it.
Beer Busters last call. There's always another beer we want to try.
I vote the coffee stout, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like she might have something
if
secret.
she's got something here.
away.
Hey, listen. If you want to know what it is, sign up to be a patron on Patreon.
As little as $1
Come on,
a month.
I have to pee
Yeah,
so
I kind of
bad.
do too. Also, rate and review all the podcasts you listen to because you all deserve it. Thank you for having us out here. This has been incredible.
So much fun.
And
So much
I'm
fun.
ashamed it's taken me as long as the brewery's been around for me to get here. I apologize.
Literally.
Yes, literally. But unfortunately, this does bring us to the end of another episode of Beer Busters.
That one's actually clean.
As we're figuring out glassware and what beer will be brought out for last call.
Yeah.
This was cool. It's like 8 miles from your house, Steph.
I know.
Why did you never bring me here?
You never want to hang out with me. You'd rather hang out with Slimy Sauce.
That is not true.
You only get one shot. Do not.
Yes. Well, Carol, again, thank you. Thank you to Elizabeth, who is not at the table anymore.
8 miles.
She's working.
I'm Dan Baker, joined by my co-host and virologist,
Steph Hefner.
the Demented and Fermented.
Wayne Thomas Baker Jr.
No squids were harmed in this episode.
I gotta be.
We'll see you next time, my friend.
That was fun.